All right, so I'll make that announcement.
All right, so I'm handing off the phone to somebody in the front row that will broadcast live. Hi.
Ladies and gentlemen.
You're going to be my photographer. You're going to volunteer, okay?
Now, in the interest of
keep it going.
We invite you to find your seat. We'll collect your email addresses afterwards. I want to get this meeting rolling in the interest of everybody's time. So please find a seat. If you are in an aisle and there's middle seats available, you might want to work your way inward so we can get all the seats available. We still have at least 50 people outside that are walking in. Again, please be seated. If you did not register your email and your name, we will collect those at the conclusion of today's meeting. Yes, and I'm going to ask for a safety and security item. If you're not finding a seat, you might want to stand against the walls. Please do not block the exits, the two doors in the back of the room.
Is there for Jody too? Or?
And again, for those that are just walking in, please find a seat or find a wall. We're going to take your email addresses later. We need to start this meeting to be respectful of all your time.
Yes. I'm in charge of Facebook Live. They can hear you.
Why are you here? Why are you here today, Monica?
Oh, no.
Maria Fabrica,
She's
why are
on
you here
Facebook
today?
Live. That's what you're live and you're live right now.
Okay, I want to read a little nicer. We can squeeze. Rita is in Rita Sanchez. Rita is Rita Sanchez. She went to Rocky Mike. She's in McGraw. But, should we stop it for now? Should I stop it? I don't know how to put it on.
Carla, can you just let people know that, and I'm sure they're going to be standing, but not to block the
We did.
exits?
We made that announcement.
Okay,
We'll make it again.
I mean, I was outside. I didn't know. So
Yeah, I made that
Perfect.
announcement.
Thank you so much.
Don't worry about it. It's going to be what it's going to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, please consider this your 2-minute warning. Paul is going to start this meeting in 2 minutes. Again, find a seat or find a wall. We'll get your names a little later. We still have people walking in. We're going to start this meeting in 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Hello. Good evening, everybody. My name is Paula Kotzen, and I have volunteered to assist this committee in getting the word out about this proposed project. First, I want to thank everyone for coming to show your support and participate in letting our leaders know that growth in Dr. Phillips has to be smart and needed. I want to thank the Rosen JCC Community Center for being a great neighbor and providing this space for tonight's meeting.
Yes.
and Rich Maladecki, co-chairs of this committee group. I moved to Orlando in 1982. At that time, Goodings had just opened. Remember the wall-to-wall carpeting in the grocery store? For you newbies, Goodings was replaced with Home Goods, Office Depot, and the bridal salon. The plaza also featured a small family-owned drugstore that had an ice cream soda fountain at the end, where the nail salon and Peruvian restaurant now stand.
Stand here.
This was beginning of our neighborhood. Our child grew up and went to the public schools and graduated from DPHS. We have watched in amazement as one tree parcel after another had been raised for shopping centers and development of Restaurant Row. We estimate that there are nearly 30 subdivisions between Conway Windermere Road and Lake Buena Vista, and nearly 12,000 residents according to the last census. Over 4,000 people signed the petition on change.org, which was started by Charles Patton.
Is Charles here?
Is Charles here? No?
Not yet? Okay, well,
Thank you, Charles Patton. Thank you for your effort and your communication with the county. I'll turn over the microphone to Kurt and Rich to describe the purpose of the meeting and the long-term goal for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. My name is Kurt Coxon, and I work for her. And Rich Maladecki, you've been hearing all night, making the announcements about the emails, the email list for Orange County so that they know you're here, the email list that we're making for our committee, and Rich will bring you up to speed on our plan for that. And without further ado, we invited and have Commissioner Wilson here to give us an update as to how the process moves. Now, understand that we're here tonight based on these rumors on next door and everything else. There's not been an application made. There's not a pending project at this time, but it's important that we start and be ready at the finish line. So we've invited the commissioner because if you're not in the business of development or you've not been involved with one of your HOAs, getting a project approved in Orange County is fairly complicated and lengthy. It's not going to happen in 30 days for these people. So without further, Commissioner Wilson. Thanks for coming.
So thank you so much. I'm hoping, can you all hear me okay? I know there are so many people in here, and for anybody that wants to know why I wanted this job, it's because if you look at this, people really care in this community, and I rely on you and your voice and stay in touch at all times, okay? Because I know this was something that traveled very quickly, and the information that was very, very, very preliminary. But what it tells me is that everyone is really paying attention and that we all care about the same things. And so that to me is I have such great optimism. I know Kurt said he works for Paula, and I just want to say I work for you. So I want to make sure that every step along the way that we are available to you. And I think I was most alarmed when I had, first of all, I want to thank Rich and Paula and Kurt for really early on reaching out. We haven't seen an application yet in my office. We've had no contact from the applicant. We've had no preliminary meeting or anything. So really what I have the opportunity to do right now is to hear from you before we even get there. The applicant, according to what I got from staff, right before I left my office today, was that the applicant did ask for technical feedback on potential preliminary designs. Something that I want to be really super clear about, because I think it is very complex, is that this particular parcel is currently commercially zoned. And for there to be any difference in what the land use is, the applicant would have to get an application and move through the process for a future land use map change as well as a rezoning. So that's 2 stages of government review that we'll have the opportunity to engage. I think it's 4 total public hearings that would have to happen, and don't worry, at every single one of those, we will make sure to get the information out to everyone here. And one of the things I made sure of before leaving the office was, if we capture everyone's contacts, can we make sure the next engagement, we can send postcards directly to you? I think social media is an incredible tool, but it can also provide a place for some anxiety and sometimes some misinformation. Always reach out to my office, district1@ocfl.net, if you ever have a question. If I don't know the answer, which is true a lot of times, we will hunt it down. I have been known in my building as being a little bit of a hound dog to try to figure out what's going on behalf of my residents and constituents. There are oftentimes big, huge projects that have been in the works for years and years and years. I was elected in 2020, so some of those started before I got here. This isn't one of those. This isn't one of those. So really we have an opportunity right now to make sure that as a community that we're expressing whatever the concerns are and the needs are. I do have the information about the applicant, who the applicant potentially would be, but there is no application on file. We brought information also about the way a land use case works through the system, because I think it's helpful when you see things to understand, okay, I got a notice, and it says it's an update for zoning. What does that mean? We have all these acronyms at the county. It's okay. You don't have to learn them. I'm not going to learn them, and I try really hard to break them down. The gobbledygook can get you, but ultimately what we want to do is make sure that anybody that comes through and has a project, that they understand what the community is going through, where you've been, and where you can visualize. So without going on too much longer, I just want to thank you for being here and for caring so much about your community.
I have been a gadfly of commissioners on a number of issues. I volunteer as the HOA president in my neighborhood, and for a couple of years chased both Commissioner Vanderlei and Commissioner Wilson on matters. And I'm also an engineer by profession, and so I'm more aware of what happens in the county office building than a lot of people normally do. So when Growth Spotter first publicized this project, and then the Rotary Club dropped a leak covered it on Nextdoor, man, it blew up. You all knew about it. And we got a room full of people. The drop after drop after drop came through, and there's a lot of passion, and I believe that this is our community. Like Paula said, we've been in the Dr. Phillips area since 1980 and have seen all of the changes. And as a technical person concerning this project and what happens with developers, you need to be vigilant. As Rich has said earlier, this is a long process. We can't get tired. But these developers, doesn't matter if it's Kimco from New York or somebody from Miami or whatever, they will come in and they're going to ask for the moon. They're going to ask for 900 apartments. There are currently, the Growth Spotter showed that one schematic, but they've actually detailed out 7 different schematics that range from 900 apartments to something less than that, up to 400. And we'll probably come and say, look, we were going to try for all this, but we've heard, and now we're just going to do 400. Well, we have to be aware of the BS. And we're here so that the commissioner, and I don't know if there's anybody from staff here, but it'll go back to the county building tomorrow, that this particular parcel, zone C1, comprises of 5 different pieces of property that Kimco owns. And in order to get a rezoning, an applicant, in my experience, an applicant has to show a need for the rezoning, a dire need. This property has been owned by the same entity since 2004 or 5. Kimco, if you look on Sunbiz, had the address change where they became the managing partners or something back in January 22, just a few months ago. And then right after that, they have such, I'm going to say, disrespect for us, Dr. Phillips, that they drew up these schematics using landscape architects and planners based out of Baltimore. They didn't even use our professional community to try to do some work. So, I mean, you could define them as the ultimate carpetbagger right now. But the plan in general, and from what little bit we know, is going to be a dire impact to most of us because of the traffic on Sand Lake Road, which is still being addressed.
Terrible.
The county has a plan to widen Sand Lake Road, which I think is in conjunction with the diverging diamond at the interchange, but that's been in the works for 5 or 6 years.
Yep.
Right.
And I'm sure county engineering hasn't considered the impact of an additional 800 residences that will bring onto the traffic count ultimately. And the sewers, the infrastructure, the schools are overloaded.
Yep.
Dr. Phillips Elementary is a brand new school virtually, and the kids are still are in portables because of the growth in the neighborhood. The new middle school down the road isn't programmed yet. And I checked with OCPS this afternoon, and that's not on a current plan. And so Southwest Middle School would get the 10 to 14-year-olds that would come out of these apartment projects. It can't take it. And you know, the high school, the new high school is a relief high school. The children here in the apartments would probably go to DPHS, but it continues to overload. And I guess my point and why I got cranked up and got involved with this is because it's Zone C1, and they have they have a right to come and ask, but I don't believe that the commission is going to be able to come up with a reason to give them their request. They will come back and try to find a compromise, say they'll build us a park or some statue or something. That's going to change. That's going to change.
Hold on, Kurt, you told me yesterday that you'd be happy if the statue was of you.
Yeah.
No, of Paula.
It would be a small
Of
statue.
Paula.
But it would change the heart of the community. The Marketplace Plaza is got our nice restaurants, it's got a bagel store, it's got the Starbucks, and we don't need, and Kiki's, we don't need, and then I feel really cranked up about the people that have invested and have their homes in Sand Lake Point townhomes that would look across the street and potentially have an 8-story high building. That's not right. I can't conceive in the last month of pondering this any conceivable reason why we would approve it. But I want to thank you all for being here. The meeting is twofold. It was to give me an opportunity to speak to you. I covered the specifics of the project pretty broadly, but you've all read about it, and most of the comments, there was a man from Brentwood that had a snippet from Growth Spotter. That was viable. The noise from the peanut gallery you should disregard. If it's a snippet from a publication, read it. And then, so the first point is to say it's not a project yet, but the county commission knows that we're ready, and we will fight it, just like they did down at Four Corners and Windermere stop that development. And we've got a Rich and I started communicating over these feeds, and Rich is a long time and recognized leader in the overall Orlando community. And so, as we planned, it was to let the community know and get the right word out. And then secondly, we will be successful here in Dr. Phillips. This is the project, this is the issue right now in June of 2022. But there will be other issues that will come forward and affect our community. And I don't think it's fair to the commissioners to have to address and hear from 12,000 residents. One person doesn't make much of a noise. But if DP United, which is the working title that Rich and Paul and I have come up with for a coordinated effort of the 30 HOAs, we can work together. It might be a traffic light that you guys need out of your subdivision. It might be water elevation in a lake, and it might be apartments. But we've got this conceived as a joint committee tonight. Rich is going to talk more about that and how, as DP United, we can make Dr. Phillips a much stronger voice and have access to the county, to our county, not only just our district commissioner, but also to the mayor and the other district commissioners. So I'm going to turn this over to my friend Rich, and he'll tell you about the second part.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you might have the impression that Kurt, Paul, and I are great friends. We met for the first time last night. We have been communicating electronically for 2-3 weeks on this topic, but this is a great example of what we need from all of you. We need a collective. I'm a retired hospitality executive. I'm a proud resident of Dr. Phillips. This August 1st will be 25 years. I've generally liked what I've seen in terms of the growth, but I will tell you, and I'm sure I'm going to get a standing ovation on this, I'm so tired, because I live right off Sand Lake Road, trying to get from my house
To I-4. To I-4.
to I-4
Yep.
and take a
Yep.
15 We have the power as residents of this fine community to make a difference. And as Kurt indicated, we've come up with a slogan. We're going to call this working committee DP United. And as I indicated to you earlier today and on all my social media posts, I need you to volunteer. We are going to go forward and start off with 4 committees. On the stage, to the right, to my right, is 4 pads of paper with the 4 committees on that. And what I would like to do at the conclusion of this meeting, and yes, you might have to wait 5-10 minutes to get your name on that, but I want to go forward and have you volunteer to help defeat this. Kurt gave the greatest example. I remember 2, 3, 4 years ago, before the pandemic, all my friends in Windermere did not want that development on the 4 corners at Conroy, Windermere, and Apopka Vineland. And they put up all those stop signs.
Yep.
Remember that? In every frickin' lawn, there is no to that development. We're going to do the same thing with your help. And I think what we have to always keep in the back of our mind and communicate constantly to our commission is it's not just the transportation issue, but it's also the quality of life issue and the educational component that Kurt discussed with us earlier. So we need to be connected. So ladies and gentlemen, here's the 4 committees. And if you feel comfortable signing up, put your name, put your email address. Paula, Kurt, and I are going to start forming some sort of times where the committees will meet. Let me describe all 4 for you, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions. Now again, we met last night for the first time. We think we got the initial phase covered, but if anyone has suggestions on a 5th committee, I'm very, very much willing to listen. Committee number 1, we need a communications committee. That communications committee needs to be really 2-part. One for social media and one for, we want to start a newsletter. We collected a lot of email addresses today. There's a heck of a lot more to collect, and we need to continue to feed that to all of you. You need to know the facts from your executive committee up here. So we will have a communications committee. Love to have some. I know some of my neighbors are communication experts, And I know that others have called me and talked to me about possibly volunteering. And believe me, in my eyes, the communications committee needs to have 20, 30 people because there's a lot to do in communications. Next committee, I think this is kind of a simple committee, and that is called the Signs Committee. We wanted to duplicate what the good people of Windermere did with that stop. Now, Kurt, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't you develop that little sign that's on the internet?
I made that me. Yeah.
All right, so Kurt has already developed a sign that you've seen, particularly on next door. Is that the sign we want to use? Possibly it is. But I need a sign committee to vet that out with the executive committee, and then to get those published, and I'm talking thousands, to get in every front lawn in Dr. Phillips, particularly as close as you can to Sand Lake Road. So that's committee number 2. Committee number 3, fundraising. Nobody wants to do fundraising, but in today's world, you can teach an old dog new tricks. Because I actually put up a GoFundMe page on a project I'm doing just 2 months ago, and it wasn't all that hard. So I'm thinking with all the people in this room, and with all our media, all our social media connection, if we get a fundraising committee, not to do car washes or bake sales, but I'm thinking more electronic to get the GoFundMe page. We're gonna need monies for those signs. Let's be very candid. So that's our 3rd committee. And then the 4th committee is media relations. We have Channel 9 in attendance tonight. We need to keep the media informed that we, DP United, is working to oppose this type of development. So those are those four committees. If you choose to sign up, we will be in touch with you. We will help you organize those. But I will tell you, we're going to have a 5th committee, and that's going to be the executive committee of this group. And what Kurt is doing, Kurt has all the email addresses and names of all the HOA presidents in the greater Dr. Phillips area.
Some of them.
All right, a lot of them, we'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do is invite every HOA to have an individual from their board to serve on this executive committee. So the executive committee is going to move forward and try to set that policy. With that said, those are the topics and at least our initial thoughts on committees. What are your thoughts on that in terms of the committee structure? Please, go ahead.
I have a question. So I'm the president of Citrus Chase HOA, and there's a lot of residents that might want to do your last committee there. I don't know, I don't want to speak for the rest of the board, but if it's not a board member, can it be a homeowner? Or you want it definitely a board member to be on your executive?
In our initial thoughts, and I don't know that we'll, our initial thought is that we would like the HOA presidents or an officer to be involved. We're just beginning, and so it needs to be somebody with some horsepower that can then communicate with their entire HOA. That would be the first part of it. And I don't have your, the names that Rich said that I have pertain to the HOAs that are near Big Sand Lake and around Bellagio. We reached out for another issue earlier last year. So, yeah, we would like HOA presidents. And if you don't want to get, for social distancing, we do have the website set up that, the official Dr. Phillips Stop Kimco website. It's a group. You can join the group. I'm currently the administrator. And then send a message and say, I want to volunteer for a committee. You can use the social media. I think the next step that we'll probably do tonight or soon is set up a Facebook page just for this committee. And then people can communicate. It can be open and can send messages to the administrator to sign up. That will make it easier and more effective with your time tonight. Yeah, I'm thrilled as you guys coming out. Yes, sir.
You're going to post that link. I imagine a lot of people heard this from next door. I think we put that on next door
The link to the Facebook group has been up for a couple of weeks, and with an invitation out to join, and then you have to be approved. That's the thing with a group. If we decide to establish a Facebook page with an email account, then certainly we would put that up on Nextdoor as well to get the message communicated.
What is that? Is it just a website or?
We don't have a website. That would be something for that communications group to do.
What did you say the Facebook
It's a group on Facebook,
group on Facebook?
and the group is called the Official Dr. Phillips Stop Kimco. If you search something like that, it'll come up.
If you just put Kimco in, the group will come up.
Well, okay, good. If you just search Kimco, the group will come up.
In your Facebook account.
Yes.
I think you're in the communications committee, Jody.
Okay, yes, sir?
Yeah, why don't you describe the overall project? You assume that everybody here knows what's going on.
Okay, well, the overall, fair enough. I kind of assumed that everybody knew the overall project, but the overall project, as it's been described on social media and in Growth Spotter, consists of the parcel of land that is demarked on the east side of Della Drive. It's the back side of the Marketplace Shopping Center. And it includes, the concepts that they are proposing, includes the demolition of the old Steinmart store, and potentially, I think, the karate place that used to be there, but for sure the old Steinmart store, and then take out all that parking that's along Della Drive, and then as they move south, they would take out the small businesses that are on the back side, the law office, the vet, pool pleaser, the theater,
The cleaners.
and then the bridal salon, home goods, and Office Depot. Their biggest site plan includes decimating all of that, and putting up a complex of 8 and 5-story buildings that would ultimately have between close to 900 apartment units, and some of the proposals have them scaled down to between 400 and 500 units. You cannot tell from the exhibits that have been published. I can't tell where the parking is. It's either going to be under the building, or a couple of, covered, or it may be structured parking. I can't tell. Either way, they're asking for multifamily, high-density residential on a site that's currently zoned commercial and was zoned commercial when they bought it. So that's really the big key. It doesn't matter if they wanted to build a palace or a series of miniature golf courses there. It's not zoned, it's not a use that's zoned for commercial, that would fit in commercial. Did I describe the project well enough for you? Okay. Yes, sir. Wait. Okay, now over on that side. Yeah, good. I didn't see in the light.
I live on that wall, right behind the marketplace. I am one of those townhomes in Sand Lake that will be looking at a 5 or an 8-story building. The problem we have with that is that we're on the same power grid as Publix. When Publix and that shopping center go down, our townhomes go down as well. All those apartments will lose their power at the same time. They're not addressing that. I happen to go on their website because I know how to go into HTML and get into their company. I looked at the PowerPoints that they had that they presented to their own company. I saw all that. They're planning to build 2 parking garages, one for each set of the 8-story building and the 5-story building. They're going to build a parking garage that's part of each unit. Now, in addition to that, they make the position that the Publix needs more, and they addressed Publix specifically, needed more patrons and that they're going, by building all these apartments, that they will create needed people.
There's 3 Publixes that are
Comforting to know that this developer cares about Publix's bottom line.
Can you believe this? That they think that they need, I mean, obviously they've never been through the store, right? There's no place to park as it is, and as a handicapped person, it's a problem.
You're going to sign up for a group, right? You're going to sign
Yes,
up for a
I'm
committee?
going to be on the communication.
I want you to be on the committee. I need your HOA president.
Yes.
And because, frankly, you're the community that's affected the most. Your community, the condominium, the homes across from the library, those are the communities that are going to be affected the most.
Well,
Sand
we
Lake
also
Hill.
noticed in this PowerPoint, they mentioned that the architect that's assigned to that redevelopment happens to have an office next to the Chinese restaurant that's there on the corner, next to, right behind the physical therapy office.
Before you leave tonight, please come see me, because I've been all over the internet trying to find info, and I'd love to look at that myself. So please come and show and give me that link.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that y'all are planning, since we know who this guy is and where his office is, that he becomes
No. We're not going to do that because there's no application yet. Tonight is all about keeping you informed. We're not. They have a right. Listen, everybody.
My eyes are already on his office.
Okay. Have you finished? And you're gonna give me.
I just started, but I'll finish.
Well, that's because we wanted, Rich and Paul and I, when we got together, we wanted to make sure that we didn't have a microphone here for people to come up and complain and bitch. Because we would be here till midnight. We've heard you on social media, and that's why we want to get the group together. And I'm glad you went first, because that's information that I haven't found. And I'm telling you, Paul and I were on vacation last week, and I had to holler at her in the cabin in our ship, and I said, "Would you put next door down? She's getting cranked up. We couldn't go out and get a drink." So, yes, sir.
Yes, thanks. Just a couple of things. I've heard that there are no applications, nor plans, and no contact from Kimco, but we seem to know a lot about what's going on.
Okay, the gentleman said that he's heard that there's no application, no contact with Kimco, but we seem to know a lot of what's going on. Commissioner's got an answer for that.
I emailed the Growth Spotter author, the writer that did the article, to ask who actually supplied the information. He sat in on that pre-application technical review that wasn't an application. So a pre-application technical review sometimes is looking at some structural issues, but as part of that, the applicant brought those renderings, the renderings that I think you've seen. So I believe in my question to the writer of that article was, there was some indication that there was favorable opinion. Yes. Who did that come from? Because I can tell you, there is no application. There certainly wasn't any briefings done to any of the other review groups that had appointees. So who is that favorable opinion? And he admitted that he sat in the meeting, and it's literally a checkbox type thing. It had nothing to do with the content of the projects. So there is no application on file yet. They are those renderings that I believe you've seen. And that's why being here and getting this contact, having all of this information that we can now get back to you, should the application come in, my hope is that the applicant, potential applicant, gets information back from this meeting immediately and understands immediately, social media has a way of doing that really quickly, that there are, there's a lot of interest, and this may be the time to come out to the community. And I would love to see them come out, and then the opportunity to share with them what would be an ideal fit and what wouldn't be an ideal fit. And that's something that like I said, if they do file, it will be, there's two different processes they have to go through. If they file for something that changes the zoning, they have to go through the rezoning process. If they file that and there's a different future land use, that is an additional process. So, from my estimations and from talking to staff, that would be 4 public engagements that we would be able to potentially communicate loud and clear.
One last thing,
Yes,
very
sir.
quickly. The committee idea is very good. My question is, how do all the activities and the engagements and the results, how do they translate procedurally to the government, to the commissioner, to the Orange County government?
The gentleman's asked about how the work of the committee is going to transmit to the county, to the district office. An interface.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, these are our first initial steps. We're going to get together, get some of these good ideas. Commissioner's here, her aide is here, Hannah. We both got relationships. Rich and I both have a good line of communications with Hannah. We can't always get to the commissioner, but we can get to Hannah, and the commissioner's got another aide that is always available. I've had more opportunity to Commissioner Wilson than I've had to the previous commissioners that I've dealt with while I've been my HOA president for 12 years. So there's an openness to the office, and certainly after tonight's attendance on this matter, I know that we will be able to, that they will be involved as we develop our plan to work. This is a huge tool for District 1, and I'm not aware of any other committees, groups in the rest of the county that are so concerned about their community. So that's the answer to that. You're next. After, there was somebody way over there. Yes, sir.
I've got a question for the commissioner.
Commissioner, for you.
I'm getting old.
Sorry.
Who is Jason Sorensen?
He is he's actually within the Peds department and is part of that, what is his official title?
Senior planner.
Chief
One of the
planner.
chief planners. There's lots.
The thing is, I received an email from him, and it looks like there has been some kind of talk between Kimco.
There has been. It's the pre-application. Like I said, it's technical review is what they're saying. So there's not an application on file. So you're right. Jason Sorensen was the contact, I believe, for the pre-application technical review.
Okay, and the thing is, he indicated that the preliminary meeting of the Orange County staff gives the applicant our first take on their proposal. What does that mean? The county gives them their take.
So this was the exact question I asked. We actually had the meetings leading up to this, knowing that this was community run, community organized, but I just wanted to make sure, because I haven't received anything, not the first shred of communication from the developer, that I've had an opportunity to ask staff what information they had. And there has been a pre-application technical review, which means that they look at the actual structures and what would fit or not fit, and that is as far as it goes. So it has nothing to do with the rezoning or land use determinations that would have to come back to public hearings. So those are very different, and I like I said, I think not having that application in front of us gives us an opportunity to really be able to talk about things in a different way, because once something is teed up as a land use case and comes before us as a hearing, it's actually a quasi-judicial hearing, because people have the right to do what they want to with their land as long as it falls within those zoning and future land use maps as they are. So right now, we don't have to worry about that. This is not, we don't have a quasi-judicial hearing on the books. So getting all the information we have right here, right now, gives us an opportunity, if that application comes in, and like I said, hopefully, these entities, whoever is helping take a look at this, will realize that they need to listen to the community and maybe even come out and do a pre-application community meeting as well. And we've had this in other parts of District 1 where before even filing for any kind of project, they came out and did a community, the applicant came out and did a community meeting. And it's very valuable, because that way If it is an entity far, far away that doesn't understand the daily struggles and what people are living with here, they can hear directly from the community. I am your commissioner, but I'm only one board member, which means there have been times that I've been engaged on the way into a hearing. Excuse me, I'm a little tickle my throat. And had really clear direction from my community and tried really hard to make sure that we were getting that communicated to the entire board. But because there's an entire board, I can feasibly be outvoted. You know, I think it's a problem, which is why I'm saying that from here on in, having this organized, having the ability to really use the kind of grassroots efforts of getting that communication, not just within your circles, but also into, you know, that's right, all those avenues. So and I don't know if that answered your question about Jason. Jason was the last person watching Nick and Jason, the last two people I talked to. Yeah.
The thing is,
I asked.
Commissioner, can I have the mic?
He didn't get interviewed, and I asked, but I said, did you do an interview for Gross Fodder? And he said no, that the reporter sat in on the TRG technical
We
review.
love good urban form, but an 8 stories is a little much, said Jason Sorensen, Orange County senior planner. We will have to see what the residents think and respond accordingly.
Yeah.
That is the quote.
And he didn't interview, so it was literally a technical review amongst the people in that department with three directors.
a few more points on the email from Jason. He also alluded to an infill project. What was that infill?
An infill project is where there has been a determination, but the actual, it's infill. So you've got land use that happens either contiguously or oh my gosh, my mouth is all right. And this would be, and this actually would be
An infill project, sir,
is
just as what is defined. There may be a parcel that got zoned around, and then they would knock something down and put it in. It's exactly what it sounds like. This is not an infill project. They can say that, it's not.
But that doesn't matter because it's not a designation. So infill there's not a zoning designation for infill, so it doesn't matter in the process.
The last comment I have, that same email, and this is the one that is concerning. Additionally, an increase in housing supply will help.
No, they can say that. They can say that, but this is not affordable housing, and there are more than enough apartments.
Let me finish what he said.
Will you send it to District 1 at ocfl.net so that I can address it with staff? That would be the most helpful thing.
Well, additionally, an increase in housing supply will help to alleviate
Give him the
the
mic.
housing affordability crisis.
Okay, so he's saying that the feedback he got from a staff member was that part of the concern with housing in the housing market is that the inventory that we have inventory issues. It's a whole different conversation. It's not what you were asking, and I want to make sure that I appreciate that. Yeah, send me an email, that way I can address it, because I think right now we just need to make sure we're really clear about the process they would have to go to get rezoning and to get a future land use map change.
I've got gentlemen here, then you, and then got the man there and there, okay? I've got 4 people before I get to the back of the room, okay? So, sir.
My question is, have the business owners who are going to be displaced, have they weighed in on this? Have they been in touch?
Who knows? Who knows? We are all here reacting to the leak from the information from the Rotary Club that got posted on social media. That's their battle, right? That's their battle. So we don't know. And it's all about us, our neighborhood, our community. I could really care less what Office Depot, whether their feelings are hurt or not. I want Office Depot to
They're all
stay.
tenants anyway, they're tenants, it doesn't matter.
They're tenants to the shopping center.
Doesn't matter.
They could be allies, could be
They
allies.
could be, but they're not citizens and they don't vote. Next. Yes.
Yeah, so who are the other members of the board that we need to convince?
The other
to
members,
allies?
this gentleman asked, who are the other members of the board? Orange County Commission consists of 6 districts. There are 5 others. They all have a similar email protocol. It's going to be district, pick a number, 2 at ocfl.net. 3 District 3, and if you go to ocfl.net, you can see all of the commissioners. Part of the effort from the group, one of the committees that we're planning on, is to have adopt a commissioner group, where we hope to find some leadership from the community, people that are in the business community, frankly, that are known and can represent our group, and assign them a commissioner to be adopted to, and bring our message as part of DP United to them so they understand, because certainly Kimco understands, and they know that that Commissioner Wilson's not going to be against it, but they will try to line up the others to override her vote. And so it'll be important for us to get our message to those other commissioners. Sir.
I just have a quick question. Has anybody done a feasibility study? Have you seen one?
I'm sorry, could you say your question?
Has anybody seen or heard of a feasibility study being done? Or
no. The gentleman has asked, has there been a feasibility study done for this project? Not that we know of. I mean, that's up to the developer to do something.
I don't think so.
No, that would be a requirement if there was an application.
Yeah.
Okay, it would be a requirement if there was an application. The woman in the black there, and then you're next. Yes, ma'am. No, you're up.
Okay. I did a little dive to see if there was a website for DP United, and I didn't see
No,
one.
there is one.
And I would like to suggest that.
That's because DP United just began last night at
Yeah.
Panera. We don't have a
website. A webmaster that can put that together in the next 2 days?
And then if we could use that as our communication.
Yes.
Yes, the
United,
communication group would.
Yes, that's one of our goals with the communications
Good
group.
question. In the back.
Yes, do you have to be a resident of a board to be on the executive committee?
For now.
Where it's kind of in limbo. They asked if you have to be a member of an HOA board to be on the executive committee. As it sits right now after our initial discussion, and as I answered the question up front here, we would prefer that, because that person that is a leader within their HOA has the ability and probably the emails to get information to their HOA versus just a member of the HOA. But it depending on how many volunteers we have, that kind of process, it's still very fluid. Paul?
Yes, in the past, there was a communication from the commissioner's office every year or every other year who were the presidents of every homeowners association in Orange County. I don't know if that's communicated.
Main Street programs used to have that.
Who was the board members and who was the president? Could I ask the commissioner if that's still
Hannah's Commissioner Wilson's senior aide can answer that.
Hi there, I'm Commissioner Wilson's policy aide. This is actually a project we've been working on since we got into office, so we have a running list of all the HOAs in District 1, but it's very difficult to obtain, so please email us if you're a president of the HOA with any need for HOA.
You're not getting the newsletter.
And if you're not on the news, this is what I was going to say at the end anyway, but if you're not on the newsletter, please sign up at the bottom of NicoleWilson.org. If I have exchanged emails with 180 of you, it's a pleasure to meet you tonight. And if you did exchange emails with me and you're one of the 188 people on my list, as I said, we are assembling a list of everybody who's emailed us, and we're going to add you to the newsletter with your own list of Dr. Phillips, and then as well as everybody who signed in today. And then if we did have a page printed out of the land development process. If you didn't get it because we only printed 100 copies, it's also on our website at NicoleWilson.org under the FAQ page. We have it as a drop-down menu. Then there's also, just going to plug that, we also have great answers to questions like, it says Windermere, but I live in Unincorporated Orange County. Why is that? So please check that out. Thank you.
Gentleman next to Paul.
Not all the subdivisions within Dr. Phillips would be restricted. Not everybody's in an HOA.
I'm sorry, it's a statement.
Well, how are you, you're saying that board members are only going to be from HOA. What are you doing about the properties that don't have HOA?
If you want to serve, we're not going to say no. So just talk to us.
Yeah, you know, just sign up for a list. We're going to get everyone together that signs up on the committee. We'll divvy it up. There'll be No, they'll throw us out. Somebody else can run this. Yes, sir.
How does the current property marketplace feel about
The question is how do the current marketplace businesses,
the property,
the adjacent properties to the marketplace?
they pay them leases.
All of those people, you're right. The gentleman asked what do the current business owners, people that are committed to the marketplace, how do they feel? We don't know. They pay a lease. They're tenants.
Yeah, they're tenants.
And so we don't know.
I understand. I'm not talking about the tenants. I'm talking about the people they pay.
Well, Kimco owns that.
Kimco owns all 5 parcels.
All of it, yes. They own it all, yes.
Okay. Lawrence.
So I know that we're really, first of all, I want to say thank you to Kurt, to Rich, and Paula for putting this together. So you guys did a great job of putting everything together and getting the word out. Thank you. My concern, like everybody else here, is that Dr. Phillips is out of control with all of this building. I know we're focused on this particular parcel, but is this Dr. Phillips United going to be something that we can have for when this happens? Okay. Yes.
That's our goal.
Lourdes
Yes.
has asked, will DP United fall apart after this, or will it be there? And our goal is to be there as a group. Now, many of you here may have been around a few years ago when downtown O-Town first started to go through the process. And while I think the architecture is very cool over there, and they've done a nice job, and the county built a wide road to accommodate all the development. There were a lot of things that kind of happened without the community being coordinated. And there's, I don't know how many apartments that are over there. And those buildings that are under construction, I think, are 6 or 7 stories, to give you an idea of what 8 stories might be like on Della Drive. So to answer Lourdes' question, is that our hope, Rich and mine, and whoever ends up, is that we will be aware of other development. You know, the other thing is, downtown O-Town was a great idea. It was vacant land, and they mapped it out and parceled it out. And it's not a neighborhood. It was not a neighborhood. So it really didn't affect anybody. It dumped some traffic out here, but it didn't really affect anybody. And so I think the developer has done a great job with the architecture and making it look nice, and there's going to be some great businesses for all of us. I mean, Pet Paradise, if you're from the Chicago area, how can you argue about having a Portillo's? You know, the apartments are high end. So we are striving here to keep our town center at the marketplace, and maybe as the next parcel to the north of downtown O-Town that's open may require us as a group to come together and review that for the owner as to whether it grows or not. So, Paula's got a comment?
If any of you know or understand how Horizons West was developed, as the communities grew out on 535, they created a master association, okay? And that's what we're looking towards, having one master association that will attend meetings, attend hearings, answer questions, you know, hear the citizens, and have some involvement and some meat in the game. Because right now, things just happen, and nobody knows it until it's too late.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have already lost about half of our attendance. That bothers me because we're looking at a call for action, and I'm looking for volunteerism. So, we're going to defray the questions right now, and we're going to close. A couple points. We collectively can make a difference. Yes. We are here for the long haul. We've given you today an overview, and I know all of you have emotions about this. I need you now to sign up for one of these 4 committees. There's 4 pads of paper. Paula, Kurt, and I will probably meet within the next 2-3 days, go over those committees, and try to set up meeting dates so each of the committees can develop goals and to move forward with that. Number 2 point, and Kurt, Paula, and I paid $640 of security for today's room and the security. JCC gave us the room for security. In the back, there's a water jug. We're hoping that some of you would be generous with $5 bills so that $640 just doesn't come out of our pocket, please. Lastly, we hope to, once we get this rolling, have further meetings of the group to keep everybody up to date. But again, we're going to start a DP United website. We're going to have various committees moving forward, and all of you will be informed with the Commissioner's office where we're moving in the next couple of weeks. It's our goal to get this rolling now. With that said, Hannah, do you have anything else on behalf of the Commissioner?
Just please sign up for the newsletter.
All right, and Hannah has sheets on the side here. If you want to receive Commissioner Wilson's newsletter, please sign up for that. Paula, Kurt, and I will be up here right now to answer questions one-on-one, and please sign up for committees. We're only going to do this if we do it collectively.